Kimberley. A number of young people have been trickling in from very early this morning. In fact, we do know that the Deputy President has been here since last night, and he's giving out houses out here in one of the townships in Kimberley. But Pillay of the NYDA will tell us more about that and much more of what's happening and what is going to happen. Yeshan, thank you for joining us. But first, tell us about this project that you were telling me about earlier that the Deputy President is busy with outside of this space that we're in today.
Well, one of the NYDA flagship programs for education and skills development in partnership with the Department of Human Settlements is the Youth Built Infrastructure Development Program. On this program, young people build homes for other young people, for the elderly, and in the process they acquire valuable skills, carpentry, plumbing, electrical skills, and so on. And so it's a very exciting program, and today the Deputy President, Cyril Ramaphosa, will be handing over 76 houses to commemorate the 1976 youth uprisings built by 100 young people from right here in Kaleshewe in the Northern Cape. So this is just but one example of young people leading the struggle for a better life.
Instead of them asking for handouts, they're doing it for themselves. But you know, Yeshan, in 1976, as we commemorate this particular day, young people were certain they did not want the enforcement of Afrikaans as their language. The country erupted because they were saying not in their name. They were politically organized and they wanted freedom for this country. Today, it would seem like it's just lip service, economic transformation. What is it that the youth today, you would say, stand for, firmly for that matter?
Well, interestingly, we have the fourth highest levels of political activism in the world, according to a recent Youth Development Index. But the challenge that we face is how to galvanize that youth activism behind a common vision and a common program for youth development in the country. And so our focus really needs to be, how do we organize, coordinate, and mobilize ourselves behind tangible programs, behind innovative ideas, and so a solutions-orientated approach to the various challenges that we face, from poverty to inequality and to youth unemployment. We can no longer sit back and wait for government or be dependent on any single entity to deliver us to the promised land. We as young people need to remember the generation of 1976, the leading role that they played in the struggle for quality education and the fight against apartheid, and we need to take a lesson from the past and lead the struggle for access to housing, for access to basic services, and for the transformation of our society. So youth must lead and government will support, and that's the paradigm shift that we need to make.
But Yeshan, 20 years later, even the NYDA has had to change the tact in how you deal with young people's programs, how you try to help them, because earlier on it would be a case of giving them money to see how they can use the entrepreneurial spirits in order to ensure that they are, upgrading their lives. But now you've had to change that tact, and tell us why and how you've done that.
Well, we had to change because we realized there's no silver bullet to youth unemployment or to youth development progress for that matter. It has to involve a multi-pronged approach. And the two major pillars to this multi-pronged approach is education and skills development on the one hand, so that young people are educated, they have the necessary qualifications, because no employer is going to employ a young person, irrespective of how you subsidize or incentivize, if that young person does not have the requisite qualifications or skills. But on the other hand, we need to address the supply side, which is the employment opportunities. And that's where youth entrepreneurship becomes a very critical pillar. And so we've complemented a focus on education and skills development with youth entrepreneurship programs, the NYDA grant program, the NYDA IDCC loan program for 2.7 billion for young entrepreneurs. And we've also integrated that with health and well-being initiative, because you also need to be healthy in order to be productive. And so through this multi-pronged, holistic and integrated approach, we can make a dent, we believe, on the challenge of youth unemployment and actually realize meaningful and sustainable youth development.
But Yeshan, as you talk about youth development, etc., and as one of the people who are leading the major components in the country in terms of youth development, which is NYDA, if I were a young person sitting at home now at this particular point and listening to you, what would you say I would be gaining from this organization, or what I should do to empower myself?
Well, I think I would say, don't sit at home and think the NYDA or government is going to help you. You need to first stand up, put your hand up and not your hand out, and actually take the first step, take the initiative, be proactive, go to government, go to the NYDA, go to the private sector or any other organization that can provide support. And you may not be successful the first time around, but persist, continue to try. And as you keep trying, with your persistence, at some point in time you will receive the support that you so dearly deserve. And that could be a grant, it could be a scholarship, it could be a bursary, it could be career guidance, it could just be information you need to access the opportunities that are out there. But ultimately, we're saying education and hard work is what we need to focus on as the youth movement of today.
Put your hand up and not put your hand out. Yeshan Pillay, thank you so much for joining us. Coming to you live from Galishwe Stadium in Kimberley.